competition. It's all about the next 14 minutes. It's all about who will hold their nerves. And I think if it comes down to that, it's Kenya who might just have the edge, because they've been in this position a number of times, playing on the World Series, playing in tight matches, playing in knockout games as well. But you can never underestimate Zimbabwe, especially after that stunning comeback that they pulled off in that semi-final, Liam.
Absolutely. Kenya is the good all-round sevens team. They've got very good control of their kickoffs and the breakdown, two very important parts of the sevens game. But Zimbabwe, after a dramatic comeback in the semi-final against Uganda, they've been relentless in their attack, got a lot of offloading game, very good offloading game, and a lot of X-factor. And both teams have got a lot to call upon from their benches. Two very strong squads of seven, so probably the worthy finalists in this tournament, and it's all to play for.
So the two teams lining up for the national anthems, and of course an opportunity also to meet some of the dignitaries, including the president of Rugby Africa. And this really, especially for some of the Zimbabwean players, perhaps the biggest game that they've ever been involved in, Liam.
It will be for some of these players, but there's also a lot of experience in the Zimbabwe team, a number of them having played in the recent World Cup and with a little bit of World Series experience and Hong Kong qualifiers. So two very experienced sides, and there you see the greetings from the captain of the Zimbabwe team, Stephen Hunduza.
Taking us through this Zimbabwe team, Liam, some of the youngsters that you maybe have been excited with, and also that you think might be able to take Zimbabwe to that next level over the next few seasons.
Yeah, Klunguyo's a very impressive player, got a huge amount of pace, very much a sprinting athlete, and we saw him in Lesotho last year, and he's come back for the Zimbabwe team. Didn't play in the World Cup, but he's just got that pace that you need in the sevens game, plus a very good physique. Mukariri hasn't kicked particularly well yesterday, but today's just come into his own as a very good scrum half.
As we look now at the Kenyan side, a couple of debutants there, Derek Kayoga, Elakim Kitsoy, and also Benjamin Marshall. We haven't seen too much of, but Daniel Tabu on a debut, he really has been quite exceptional in the number 10 jersey for the Kenyan side. He's been taking their kickoffs, he's been taking their conversion attempts as well, and he's been able to control a lot of play, has Daniel Tabu. And of course, some of the experienced players have also made their marks for Kenya, including the likes of Michael Wanjala and the likes of Charles Omondi as well. So we are now standing by for the national anthems of Kenya and Zimbabwe, and it's great to see the Zimbabwe team just moving around. They really are enjoying every bit of their opportunity. So now the formalities are a thing of the past, and it's now time to get down to business for these two teams. Kenya with all the experience on their side, Zimbabwe with the excitement in their favor. Who will come out on top? Kenya have won this tournament 4 years, 2004, 2008, 2013, 2015. And Zimbabwe, two-time winners, winning it back in 2000 and also in 2012. Last year they finished runners-up, and they'll want to go one better. Yeah, they don't want to have that reputation of always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So they have a real opportunity here to come up against this Kenyan side and to win this, and that will certainly be considered an upset. It will be Mugariri to take the kickoff. Zimbabwe playing from right to left in the first half, playing against the wind in the first 7 minutes.
Zimbabwe operating with a split kickoff here, and Kenya just organizing themselves to be in a position to take this ball.
There's Tarisai Mugariri who gets us underway. First touch for Brian Wanina inside his own 22. Nice little offload to Herman Humwa, but Zimbabwe quickly surround him and they make sure that he doesn't make his way out of the 22. Kenya now changing direction. And the strong tackle there coming from Bisilele Tamala, but he misses the tackle, and it's Cyprian Kuto who's got some space to work with. Does well to get the pass away on the inside into the hands of Tabu, and the ball gone forward. There's a flag out from the assistant referee, but play continuing. Brian Wanina gets the pass away to Tabu, and then a simple knock-on from Herman Humwa, and the referee bringing an end to play, and the assistant referee saw something. I think this might be a penalty.
A very intense start from this Kenyan team. It was a long kickoff from Zimbabwe, and Kenya seemingly running themselves into trouble, but it was the missed tackle from Bisilele Shamala that just allowed Kuto to race up this right-hand touchline. Unfortunately, Wahinya tripped over on his way to the try line, but it is the assistant referee that pulls us back. An intervention from the officials, not quite sure yet what that is for. So it looks like it'll be a tip tackle there on Kuto, and just seen it on the replay. It looks like referee digging in his pocket for the yellow card. So it's Mugariri who will take 2 minutes on the bench.
And that's a real blow for the Zimbabwe side, playing with 6 players for the next 2 minutes. This Kenyan attack can really take advantage of their 1 extra player. So all the way back onto the Kenyan 10-meter line. And Brian Wanina will put this ball into a scrum. So not quite sure if that was a decision that was taken after the penalty was awarded, or if the referee brought them back for a knock-on, but there was a yellow card. So confusion all round, but the ball is available for the Kenyan team. And a penalty now, this time going the way of Zimbabwe, quickly taken by Stephen Hunduza. And Hunduza's got support on his outside, decides not to use it, makes his way into the 22. Connor Pritchard in the scrum-off position, but Kenya making life difficult as they power their way over the ball into the hands now of Brian Wanina for this Kenyan side. Nice little pass to Charles Omondi, but he fails to take it, and it's back there for the Zimbabwe side. Not too much support for Chitakwendo. Steps his way past a couple of defenders. Pritchard gets the pass out wide to Hunduza. And Hunduza almost gets around his man on the outside, but he's pushed out into touch.
Possession moving from Zimbabwe to Kenya and back again. And opportunity there for Hunduza just to put the hammer down and go for the corner. And Kenya, a little bit too much pace for him on that sideline. Forces him into the touchline. And Kenya now to throw the ball in at the line-out.
Take at the front of the line out from Herman Humwa. Kenya not scared to run the ball from deep inside their own half as they try to get around on this outside, does Mugisi. And as the defense from Zimbabwe really has been very, very good, managing to hold up their man. And he's trying to get his knees on the ground. Eventually it does, so Zimbabwe have to release. And the penalty is there. No releasing from the Zimbabweans, so Kenya with the penalty. Quickly taken by Mugaisi. Mugaisi spotting that there's nobody back. And giving chase is Daniel Tabu, but excellent work coming from Stephen Nduza to make sure that he gets his hands on the ball first, and a nice pass into the hands of Katsvere, and Katsvere goes around the man on the outside, and Zimbabwe will have the lead in this game after 4 minutes. It should be a simple conversion as well, and with one man down, Zimbabwe score the first try of the game.
Well, it just shows you how many times in the sevens game the team with 6 players does and is able to score tries, and it's Katsvere's outstanding footwork that gets them the score on the board. The first one of this final, 4.5 minutes into the game. A little bit unusual there, and this is a heavily contested game, but it's a fantastic footwork from Katsvere. The in to out, and then the outstanding pace from the 15's fullback, and conversion scored. Yeah, you just see Katsvere, outstanding footwork. Offsets Kuto and puts the hammer down. It's got enough pace to go all the way under the poles. That conversion critical in this final.
Kenya seem to be a little bit stunned at this stage. Haven't been able to break through the Zimbabwean defense just yet. And Zimbabwe also restored to 7 players. It's a deep restart from the Zimbabwe. Kenya failed to deal with it as they lose the ball backwards and then pushed out into touch as well. Again, it's Tamala who's very, very quickly up, and he wins the line out for Zimbabwe.
It was the long kick from Mugariri, but Wahinya is under the ball and is swirling around, unable to locate it, and unfortunately knocks it into the touchline. And this is a great attacking position for the Zimbabweans. Biselele Chamala looks like to be the jumper. Nduza to throw in.
Tamala goes up, Tamala takes, back out to Nduza. Long pass over the head of Mugariri. Does well to get the ball out to Kumadiro, but he's put under pressure from the Kenyan defense, who's up very quickly, and Kenya also winning that penalty. They'll look to take this quickly. Taken now by Mugaisi. Nice tackle coming from Connor Pritchard to bring him to ground on the 10-meter line. Not releasing, says the referee. So the penalty is there again for this Kenyan side, and they take it quickly. But Daniel Tabu called back.
The referee's just tightening up on that quick tap in front of the mark. It's important that all of those quick taps happen behind the mark. And penalty going to Kenya here. Looks like they'll set up a structured penalty move.
Brian Manina with the tap penalty into the hands of Tabu. Tabu trying to make his way through the middle, but he's brought to ground by Stephen Nduza. Now it's into the hands of Humwa. Humwa spots a gap. Humwa gets past a couple of defenders. Nduza eventually managed to bring him to ground. Still available for this Kenyan side, working hard to get the ball out. They opt to go down the left-hand side. It's Kuto manages to make his way over the try line. Well, in fact, he handed it away to Wahinya. And it's Brian Wahinya who will get the first points for this Kenyan side. A tough conversion to come, but it's always good to score just before the halftime break.
It came from a very slow ruck. The contest on the break on the ground is very fierce at the moment. Both sides contesting for the ball whenever it goes to ground. And Wahinya, very good decision making. He just sees that Kuto is on the outside, and he's a prolific try scorer, and it's his support from Wahinya that gets the try. He's been very prominent for this Kenyan team throughout the tournament.
Very important conversion, this one, to try and level the score, but it goes wide. But excellent work from this Kenyan side, set up by Cyprian Kuto, and good support in the form of Brian Wahinya. Time is up on the clock, but the referee says there will be time for the restart. And I don't think that Zimbabwe will be too disappointed with a 2-point lead at the break. So we'll have to see what they do if they win the ball here. But Kenya managed to knock it backwards. Pass out of the back of the hand, picked up by Mugaisi. Again, Zimbabwe trying to hold up their man. Kenya trying extremely hard to get a knee to the ground there, but I think Zimbabwe have done enough to keep the man in the air. It's almost all the players involved there, except for Connor Pritchard. Eventually the ball, well, I thought the ball might have dropped to the floor. Liam, have you ever seen anything like this in the game of rugby?
This is what's referred to as a nothing in the sevens game. Unless a Kenyan player engages with this scenario, it will just continue to be a nothing. And luckily we go into the halftime mark. But clever play from the Kenyans. If they engage with that nothing, it's not really a maul. If they engage with it, the ball will be awarded to Zimbabwe for a held up maul.
So after a terrific first half of this final, it's Zimbabwe with the slight advantage, courtesy of that converted try. It's Zimbabwe in the lead, 7-5 against Kenya. Kenya will be frustrated after their first half performance, finding themselves trailing by 2 with 7 minutes left. An opportunity for them to pick up their 5th title in the competition. But definitely Gilbert Nyamutsamba will be quite delighted with his team's performance so far, and especially with the fact that he's got the lead.
Well, Zimbabwe got their tails up. They really feel that they can win this game, and they've just improved as the tournament's gone on, built their momentum into the final. The one thing about Kenya is they haven't been tested so far in this tournament, haven't lost a game, haven't had a tight game to work to, and this is likely to be that one game where they are tested in this Africa Cup tournament.
So despite the results today, Zimbabwe will be Africa's representatives at the Dubai Sevens as well as the Cape Town Sevens. So they've got the title to play for today. 2 minutes the difference. Kenya playing against the wind in the second half. Daniel Tabu to get us underway in the final 7-minute period. Can Kenya's youngsters step up to the plate, perhaps secure their spots in the squad for the World Series? It is Daniel Tabu, the nice high-hanging restart. Pritchard coming up to take it, but it's been intercepted now by Chitaquindo for Zimbabwe. Puts on the pace and he gets the pass away on the inside to Kumadiru, and Takadzwa Kumadiru will go over for the second try for Zimbabwe. A phenomenal start to the second half for the Cheetahs.
What Kenya have done very well is they've been able to retain their kickoffs, and there's Zimbabwe smart enough to put a player back on the tap down. And it is Chitaquindo who's got so much pace to burn, and he beats a couple of defenders, and then it's Kumadira racing up on the inside for the offload, and he scores for Zimbabwe, and this takes them 12-5 up with a conversion to come, and very much in control of this game with 7.5 minutes on the clock.
Really with the important conversion, but he pushes it out wide. But phenomenal work from Zimbabwe from the restart.
There you see Chitaquindo, pace to burn, and then Kumadira just as fast as he is, and he's there in support of the pace man and takes the try over for Zimbabwe.
Really with the win that it pushed back to get us back underway. That's also a nice restart, perhaps gone a little bit too deep, so Kumadira didn't quite have enough time to try and disrupt that ball. And it's available for Kenya on this near side. Dummy thrown by Daniel Tabu before taking the ball into contact. Picked up by Wanhinya. Pass coming from Humwa. Available for Kuto, and then a big hit coming there from Tamala, and the ball's been lost forward, and it's Zimbabwe who might be on the way to yet another score. Tamala again involved in that collision. The referee still playing advantage. And the ball was lost forward, but a strong tackle coming from Tamala.
Yeah, you see the big hit from Shamala, and the Kenyan player just had his eyes on the approaching defender and knocked the ball on just before the tackle, and Zimbabwe get a critical put into the scrum inside the Kenyan 22. Lots of space to work. They got Kumadira in the center, Chidakwinda on the wing, and with good passing they could easily put him in the corner.
And a change also being made here by Zimbabwe. Liam, you suggested before the match that the replacements will play a crucial role, and it's Shingi Klanguyo who makes his way onto the field for the final 4.5 minutes.
Oh, he's got so much pace as Klanguyo, and they've put Chidakwinda in the center. He's usually the wing, so a lot of pace in the Zimbabwean team now.
Ball available for Chidakwinda on this near side, and Klanguyo called on very quickly after making his way onto the field. Does well to stay infield. Kenya working hard at the breakdown to try and get the ball over the ball. Mugariri now to Hunduza. Hunduza spots some space. Brought to ground in the 22. This time it's Klanguyo who goes down the blind side. Now Kenya trying to hold up the Zimbabwean player. The referee says play can continue. Zimbabwe still in possession. And the ball lost forward from the Zimbabwean player. And also more changes being made for Kenya now, as we see Michael Wanjala and Derek Kayoga make their way onto the field.
Well, the fierce contest at the breakdown, you could just see that there, Johan. The ball almost changing position at the bottom of that ruck a couple of times, and both teams just scrapping for any piece of possession. Yeah, there is 11 minutes gone on the clock, so crucial time for both teams.
What a phenomenal final this has been. Again, it's Kenya who's been put under pressure, as Daniel Tabu is the man that needs to recover, opting to go to the right-hand side to Herman Humwa. And Herman Humwa with a speculative pass. Eventually it goes to the man on his outside. Change of direction now. Again, a strong tackle coming from the Tamala. And they drive over, and the penalty has been awarded. It's a new law that Liam, you spoke about. You can't kick the ball out of the ruck. So it gives an opportunity for Kenya to get out of their own half. And now one to beat for Kenya. It's Derek Kayoga. And Stephen Hunduza with an excellent tackle. Hunduza was the last man. And it's been turned over as well from the Zimbabwean side. And it will be a race to the try line. A couple of the Kenyan players did stay back, so there is some defense for the Kenyan side, but it's not going to matter much because Zimbabwe will have try number 3.
Well, it's end-to-end stuff in this final, so dramatic. Stephen Hunduza strips the Kenyan player off to the long run. Great work from the sweeper, and then runs 30 meters down the field, gives the ball inside to Chidakwinda, and no one's going to stop him close to the try line. Zimbabwe very much in control of this final now. A minute and a half to play. They're 17-5 up.
90 seconds for the Kenyans to score 2 tries. And this is an important kick, and it's gone wide. So 12 points of difference. 2 converted tries will put Kenya back in the lead.
Yeah, you see the dart down the touchline from Hunduza. Keeps his head, looks for his supporters, and then it's Chidakwinda. And that man knows how to find the try line and does it in style. And that is a critical score for the Zimbabwe Cheetahs team.
Zimbabwe won't mind the clock running down here. They'll take their time with this restart. And Kenya need to cross the try line inside the next 40 seconds or so to take this game further. They've got a man available in this near side, deciding to take it through the middle. Zimbabwe's defense holding firm. Zimbabwe now playing without Tamala, who has been a key player in their defensive system. And now it's Alvin Otieno who spots a little bit of space in front of him. Still available for Kenya. Clock ticking down. 10 seconds left on the clock. But it doesn't look like Kenya will have enough time. And I think Zimbabwe will be delighted when they hear the full-time hooter go. Kenya still playing for an opportunity, but it's not going to mean much if they go over for the try. And Charles Omondi losing the ball backwards. So the referee happy for play to continue. And there will be the scenes of delight when the full-time whistle is blown, because Zimbabwe will win title number 3 in the Africa Cup. Derek Kayoga with the final opportunity for Kenya, but it goes out into touch. The assistant referee tumbles over Kayoga, and the referee blows his final whistle, and that is that. The celebrations for Zimbabwe will begin, because they have managed to upset Kenya. Last year they finished runners-up. This year they've managed to go one better, and they will get their hands on the trophy, a trophy that they last saw in 2012. They came oh so close in 2017, and really a wonderful performance over the entire 2 days from this Zimbabwe side.
They're worthy winners in this final, Johan. They've really controlled the play throughout the 14 minutes, and you just feel that the tough semi-final for them against Uganda set them up with a lot of belief, battle hardened for this final. Kenya not really tested throughout this tournament, and you feel that Zimbabwe certainly worthy winners of the Africa Cup.
These are some of the celebrations from this Zimbabwean side. And that certainly makes all the pain, all the painful collisions, it makes it all worth it if you're able to celebrate with your teammates. It really is wonderful to see this Zimbabwean side enjoying their victory as much as they are, and I'm sure once they get their hands on the trophy, the celebrations will continue long into the night.
They've been a very cohesive unit, a lot of spirit, and you've seen that on and off the field from this team. They've just built their way through the tournament, and it was a fantastic performance in the final. There you see two of the main forwards for the Zimbabwe, Biselele Chamala. Shlonguyo, the paceman, he made an impact coming off the bench in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
I'm sure over the next few hours it'll settle in that they've actually managed to, what some would have said was the unthinkable, they've managed to do it here in Tunisia. A tough travel for them, traveling north from the southern part of Africa, and they've managed to win the trophy for a 3rd time. And I think a lot of credits for this victory must go to that performance in the second half against Uganda. They found themselves trailing 19-0, and they managed to pull off a remarkable comeback to take the game into extra time, and in the end to pull off a stunning, stunning comeback victory. It really is wonderful to see. Spare a thought for the Kenyans. A couple of youngsters in their side, and definitely Kenya will be more competitive when they get to the World Series that kicks off later on this year in Dubai, and we will see some much better performances from them. And again, Stephen Hunduza handing out some high fives, and all part of the fun for this for the Zimbabwean team. I'm sure that the fun and games will continue long into the night for this Zimbabwean side. A special word for Biselele Tamala in that final. He was phenomenal on defense. He made a couple of big hits, which resulted in turnover ball in critical positions. And Zimbabwe well-deserved winners today. Where to from here for this Zimbabwean side? Areas that you think they might need to address going into the big games on the World Series?
Yeah, obviously the next stop for them will be the Dubai Sevens, and a very big step up from this Africa Cup. And what they'll need to work on particularly is their kickoffs, and just being able to retain them and win them. They were able to get a couple away from Kenya here, but a lot for them to prepare for, but they've set themselves up perfectly to be able to participate, and there's so much talent in this particular squad, and they've got a couple of players not involved today that they can add if they need to, but I think this is a very exciting squad for the Zimbabwean Cheetahs team.
Yeah, I'm sure the likes of Hilton Mudariki and Boyd Ross will be watching at home and really enjoying this victory as well. And I'm sure that we will see them part of the squad of Zimbabwe traveling to South Africa and to Dubai for those legs of the World Series. And of course, they'll also make sure that they are available for Hong Kong, which will be early next year. And that's going to be a big one for them, a real opportunity to become a core team. And an opportunity like that really is a game changer for a team like Zimbabwe.
And most of these players know what that international stage looks like. A lot of them played in the recent World Cup and have played in Hong Kong before, so they know what to expect. They know how to prepare for that. And I think a huge opportunity with this squad brimming with Zimbabwean talent.
A couple of other teams that you thought were standout performers, despite not making it in the final?
Madagascar started so strongly. They've got a real X factor to their game, but they just fizzled out on day 2. I think physically they're not really up to their standard enough to push themselves ahead to the last 2 or 3 in the tournament. They finished 4th, but I think there's exciting talent in that team.
There really were some classy teams here at the 2018 Africa Men's Sevens. Tunisia also a team that performed quite well at their home ground, eventually not making it through to the semi-finals. But we are ready to head down to Hugo, who's standing by with the post-tournament presentation.
Very good afternoon and welcome to the presentation ceremony of the Rugby Africa 2018 finals. It's been an absolutely fabulous tournament. First up, well done to all the participants that performed very well in this tournament. At this juncture, I'd like to call upon all the referees, in fact the referee representative, to come and collect their medals.
So the match officials played a very important role in this competition, as they do in all rugby competitions, but really the quality of the rugby refereeing at this tournament has been on a very good level.
Yeah, there's a real professional setup for these African referees now. They prepare well, they're fitness tested, and they're advised by their technical committee. So a lot of development going into the match officials, and we see 2 female referees in this tournament who've been excellent throughout the weekend. So it's really important in this tournament. It's not just about the players and the referees and the coaches, it's about everyone that's involved in making this a spectacular event and a professional event.
So for positions from 12 to number 3, I will call out the country and the respective captain. If you could please come up and collect medals on behalf of your team. In 12th position, Mauritius. The Mauritian captain will collect on behalf of his team members. The captains, I believe, will collect on behalf of their team members. And that is the captain of Mauritius, and he will collect on behalf of his teammates. Well done, Mauritius. In 11th position, Botswana. In 10th position, Ghana. Coming in 9th, Namibia. In 8th position, Senegal. Seventh position, Morocco. In 6th position, the home team, Tunisia. Rounding up the top 5, Zambia. Surprise package and great performer in 4th position, Madagascar. And in 3rd position, last year's winners, Uganda. Thank you. You will agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, that there has to be a loser in any final. And the losing finalists for the 2018 event are Kenya. So if the players will please come up and collect their medals.
So Kenya, the runners-up in this edition of the competition, they missed out last year. They are 4-time champions, but they'll be disappointed that they weren't able to complete the victory today.
Yeah, they just didn't get it in the final, just didn't get their game right. Zimbabwe had a little bit more intensity. You feel a little bit more hunger. And I do feel that Kenya not really tested throughout this tournament, got to the final, maybe not giving it the full respect that it was due. But Zimbabwe had come through a number of battles and a very close shave in the semi-final, and that just set them up very nicely for this final. Their tails were up, full of confidence, and they knew they could take Kenya, and did it.
Yeah, in a disappointing way for Innocent Simiyu also to end his campaign with the Kenyan rugby side.
Michael, there has to be a loser, but your performance in this final was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. I think it was a build-up from the first game till this final. Every game hasn't been easy. Each level has been bigger and demanding more. And I thank the boys for showing that they can put up with the space.
Zimbabwe obviously put up a decent fight.
Yeah, definitely. They brought everything on the field, and I think for us now it's just going back to the drawing board and working on what mistakes we did on that game.
And finally, what do you take away from this event?
I thank Tunisia. This place is quite phenomenal. The accommodation is up to par. The beach, and I think on my side, what I learned is to appreciate each and every culture, and rugby is bigger than all of us when we meet on the field and off the field.
Yeah. Michael, well done and well played.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, I think you got Mr. Gold medals.
And ladies and gentlemen, they are the winners of the Rugby Africa 2018 Men's Tournament, Zimbabwe.
So really, we've spoken about the quality of this Zimbabwean side, and credit to Kennedy Tsimba. He called it right from the start that Zimbabwe will win this competition, and they really have been the best team here in Tunisia.
They've had the right balance in their side. 3 very good forwards, Shingi Katsvere, Biselele Chamala and Connor Pritchard, who played phenomenally in this final. Turned ball over on the ground, played like spectacular sevens forwards, and then they had the pace in the backs. Mugariri just tying it all together like the glue in the team, and I just think they had all the bits and pieces, the nuts and bolts of a good sevens team, and it's taken them to the top of the African final.
So Zimbabwe, well-deserved winners, and they'll know that the hard work will begin now as they begin their preparations for the Dubai Sevens as well as the Cape Town Sevens. And you mentioned it will be a different test for them. They'll come up against some really, really quality sides, and they'll have to up their game if they want to be competitive in that tournament. But for the moment, they'll enjoy the victory here in Tunisia.
Stephen, a few days ago we had the chance to chat to you, and you said that you were coming into this tournament with an objective. How do you feel after this victory?
I feel excited. I'll give the guys all the glory because they put all the effort, and I will thank the guys and we thank the Almighty for this opportunity. It was a wonderful tournament for us.
Now, what was your attitude going into this final, because you know that Kenya are a powerhouse?
We have nothing to lose. We trained plans coming to this tournament, so we stick to our plan, and I think it went well. We thank Coach for the good plan.
So now obviously you've made immense progress. You are playing next year in Dubai. What does that mean to you, playing in the Hong Kong Sevens later on in the year?
It means a lot. We'll start to prepare for getting in the second. It's been a long. We've been preparing for a long time, and I think it's high time we get into the second. I think we have to put more work, and we have to keep on working. Yeah.
Well done, and thank you very much. Wonderful performance. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain will now collect the trophy.
Lift it. Ready?
Wonderful celebrations, and Zimbabwe, the winners of the 2018 Africa Men's Sevens. The last word from you, Liam, on the performance from the team.
Fantastic end for Zimbabwe. They've built throughout this tournament, shown all the spirit that's needed on and off the field, and I think it's carried them to the end of this. They've got good talent, good spirit, and I look forward to seeing them in the Dubai Sevens coming up in December.
Liam's nearly lost his voice from all the excitement here in Tunisia, but congratulations to Zimbabwe, worthy winners of the 2018 Africa Men's Sevens. From everybody here in Tunisia at Kwese Sports, it's goodbye.